Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us. Today is May 16th, 2024. We're here tonight with John Gorla, and we're going to talk about asset protection, protecting the things that you've worked for, maybe a small business or a house or a boat, a car, or something that has value that you want to protect from lawsuits and other forms of confiscation. So, John?
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, do you have anything you want to start us off with?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Okay.
Welcome to everybody. Thanks for coming on the call tonight. Tonight, we're going to discuss ways that you can, as Tad mentioned, protect assets from the public challenges that we all face at certain times in our life. That could be just a natural part of life, or it could be an attack by something or somebody.
Hold on.
I'll do that.
Nope.
Okay, that sounds better. Thank you.
Hold on.
If you would be so kind as to mute, that would be great, because it'll make a better quality that we can put up on the website. Let me give you a thumbnail sketch of my background. I'm from Missouri. Grew up, went through university there, and then I found out there was a big ocean out here in California. I'm a sailor. I love to sailboats. And so I came out here when I was 18 with a sailboat behind the car that I borrowed from my dad. And my brother and I came out here. We spent a week playing in the water, trying to get some experience with a big lake instead of a small river. And we did. We had a great time. We had a week out here, and I said, well, Tom, we got to come back here. I love this place. So that's how I came to California. And I did. I was able to find an opportunity to move here and have a job waiting for me before I moved out. And I made my home here. I've been here almost ever since. I was away for a couple of years. And it's been a very interesting ride. I started in the junior year of my university education. That summer, started with a life insurance license, and I started learning how to approach people, find out if they have needs, if they have something that they just want, or if they need something that's specific to what their situation is. It was a great beginning. Then when I moved out here, I advanced in my education, my training, my annual extra licensing education, because whenever you're licensed, you've got somebody over your back looking at you, and you want to be sure that you make the right kinds of decisions for people and do what they really need, not what you're trying to sell. So the key that I have always worked with is, first, you get to know somebody a little bit. You get referred to them, or they seek you out, or whatever. But you've got to know who they are, what their family needs are, financial needs in terms of the current situation, and the one that's going to come up 5 years or 10 years or 40 years down the road. Now, you can't predict the future, but you can plan for the problems that you might face. Let's take an example. Somebody young, they get married, they buy a house. I'll use my sister as an example. She was married in 67. And she and her husband paid $15,000 for their first house. Now, they did get a loan, but they paid it off. Every payment was timely, and now that house is worth about $275,000 in a small part of St. Louis County. But the key is, unfortunately, their first child caught an infection and had a very high fever for about 3 days, and she lost some of her facilities to lead a normal life. She's in good shape. She works all the time, but it's a little bit different than what you had planned for. So if you got an unfortunate situation like that, certainly you know that someday you're going to sell your house or give it to your family. Now, it used to be that the federal government said, if you make an interfamilial transfer to your child or immediate family, cousin, something like that, it can sometimes get by, but it's mostly your immediate family. And you can do that without a capital gain tax. Now, you know that somebody who paid $15,000 for a house and it's worth today $275,000, almost all of that money is going to be taxable. And it'll come out at the rate of about 28%, depending upon what the state does. Some states don't charge it. And it would be a shame if a situation like that, when you're trying to give your child something, the government steps in and takes most of the money that you had gained and really planned on passing along to a child or even just selling it. If you sell a house, a commercial building, a retail outlet, whatever it is, there's always going to be capital gain attached to it unless you know how to structure it. Now, a few years down the road from when that was, I went to mentor at a law firm here in Orange County, California, which happens to be the largest law firm in Orange County. And I just was able to luck out with a specialist in international law for asset protection and tax minimization strategies. So I really walked into a really good situation. I used it to open a business in Taiwan. Had a lot of experience through this gentleman, and he retired a very, very wealthy man. So I feel confident that the things that I've learned, the things that I've searched out since he began instructing me in this, was really key to the success that I've had with people. Now, some people just want to capture the ownership of their hard labor. For instance, you retire after 20, 25 years with a 401k or 401, not a 401k, and another 401, any type of retirement plan that you might have at a company or whatever. You could have some rental property. You could have stocks and bonds and gold and whatever that you collected over the years and want to preserve, and would rather not to give it to the government who's going to waste it, like $80 billion over in Iran. That's a sad thing that's happening to our country, and that's why asset protection is so important. Farmers have always said for decades or years, maybe forever, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. So many people will wind up with 2, 3. Sometimes I've got one doctor that has 18 foundations I built for him. He's got some here in the U.S., he's got some overseas, and he's got 300 acres. He just keeps it for the future. And he put that by itself, put his office by itself, etc. So there's no limit as to what we can really do. But the key that you have to remember is to get one idea that you can glom on tonight. It's that there are 2 ways to look at things. You can do things the way the government says, or you can do things the way you have the natural right to do, as granted by our Creator and as secured by the Constitution for the United States of America. And that's the private side we like to term it. It's the side that you have the right to, not have to beg for permission to. That works in a lot of different areas. It works in when you're traveling in your automobile. If you're not under a a corporation running business out of your car, you can travel literally a whole lot freer than the way we've been trained in these states. So, again, what I usually start off with people is, I'm going to send you a data sheet and ask you what your needs, wants, and objectives are. Sometimes, 2 days ago, I sent out one called a financial analysis, which is 4 pages long. It's a little deeper. I don't start with that, but I want to have the freedom to offer this to you, because some people don't want to talk right up front with everything they have, but they want to get a little feel for what it is and what it will do for them. So let's take an average house in the United States, $400,000 to $600,000, depending on where you are. If it's in California, you can hardly find one that's under $1.5 million. But when you can afford that, and you start paying on a mortgage, or if you won the lotto or whatever, and you put cash into it, you want to protect that and know that you're going to have the ability to retain that and use it for your family. Maybe you have a charitable interest. Maybe you want to retire on the Riviera in France. Whatever your goals are, you can get there a whole lot quicker if you're not paying taxes on it every year. In addition, property taxes. In addition, all the improvements that you got to put into it, like one of the gentlemen online tonight talked about. And so what we do is we figure out what your equity actually is with a system called the equity calculator. And it works under the common law. And everything that you put into that house, when you sign for a loan, $400,000, that's your equity that you are intending to build by your own labor. And your labor is not taxable if you know how to do that properly. And then you can add additions, maintenance, want to build a pool, whatever it is. Everything you put into that with your wages that came from your labor can be added to the common law equity. So that's how we start off with a thing like a house or whatever you may have accumulated. And then as we get through that process, it's not an intense thing where it's going to take days or weeks. It takes just probably 3 phone calls and all the data being turned in. We get to know each other, and it's in writing. So I can pretty much read where you are, and then you tell me what you want, and then we find out what are the best ways to do that. So I don't just sell a product or build a foundation because that's what I like. What I do is look for an answer to your issues that you're facing. And then I show you 2 or 3 different things that would meet the needs, what's the pros and the cons about each of those options, and you make a decision. It's pretty simple because it becomes clear as to what will work for what you're trying to achieve. Now, what I do almost most of the time, and like with that doctor, is I will build a foundation that is based upon the law, not the statutes and codes. So we will stay in the private side and not have to request permission to be exempt from taxes on this or that, or to report any gain or profit for those funds which you want to keep on the private side. Now, we can never get out of the public side because we've got to buy food. Those in a grocery store. You got to buy gas, which in California is about $5.75 a gallon now. There are things in life that we just can't work without being in the public side because we got to live in society. But there are many things we can put into areas that are not taxable, and we'll keep them safe for us. So that's pretty much what we do. Now there is another big change that a lot of people aren't aware of that should be avoided when you want to do something like a living pardon me, a living trust or an irrevocable trust or a charitable remainder trust. There's dozens of those kinds of things, which I've done many of before I got really educated in the private side. And the big problem that you run into, here's a good sidebar here, because the man who I was working with after the mentoring that I got from the attorney's firm right here was approached by a referral who said, I've been referred to you, Bob, because I've got a trust, and it's a perfect trust, but the IRS is coming in saying they're going to take one of my pieces of heavy earth-moving equipment. It's a Caterpillar bulldozer that's worth $160,000 because my trustee is said to owe them $60,000 in back taxes. How can they do that? So Bob asked him about the trust and who built it, and can you give me a copy of it so I can take a look at it? So he saw that it was a statutory trust conforming with the laws, the codes, and the regulations under the state regulations here in California. And he saw that the man who was accused of owing taxes, which he really didn't, was the trustee. And that's when my mentor, Bob, had to tell him, well, they can do that. And he said, well, how can it be? It's a trust. It's my equipment. Well, this is a statutory trust, and that means that the assigned trustee has the legal title to everything in that trust. And it's looked at by law, rather, again, by code. We got to keep this in mind when we talk, because I have clients that I've had in these trusts that I built for them for 4 or 5 years. They keep calling it, my lawful trust, and it's that's what it is. It's not a legal trust. So, because the trustee holds the legal title, it is in the public and it's subject to attachment. So we try to stay away from those kinds of things that are surprises to everybody. The big problem we have in this country now is that since the 30s, actually later 1900s, 1800s, they started changing the law and changing the way things are run. And they pretty much convinced most of us, by the way we've been educated, that this is the way it has to be. It doesn't. By getting educated, going on these websites like Tad has built, he's got other people that offer other things. It's not in this area of the law, but other things that will help people in other areas they can do. So we try to help everybody with their needs based on what their desires and wants and objectives are. And so that's why I love the business of working with associations that are tax exempt and recognized by not only the law, but by the biggest and most powerful agency we have in this country is not the IRS, it's the Treasury Department. The IRS is just a contracted agent for the Treasury Department. So even though they act like they're the boss, they're just another company located out of Puerto Rico, and they've got the contract to go after everybody in this country for law. And, in fact, I have a sister who is an attorney who lives in Vancouver, British Columbia. Her husband's an attorney, and they go after her as an American citizen by origin for taxes every year. She doesn't even live in this country anymore. But she got a Social Security number, so she's one of the targets. So all of these things can be corrected, but it does take a little time, and the people who are interested in doing it stay with you for the rest of their lives because it's so solid. And another thing that you need to know about these tax-exempt lawful foundations on the private side is they're even mentioned in the tax code, Title 26, Section 501c. And a lot of people know that because the 501c3 is a tax-exempt foundation. Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Bill and whatever her name is, who own Microsoft, the Gates family. All these people have hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, but they have to report every year to the IRS how much they have spent from that trust. That's the kind of oversight I don't really care for. Because if you've made this money, you don't want somebody to tell you how to spend it. And that's where we are. You go into the public side. And on top of that, I have a letter from the Treasury Department. The head manager of the Exempt Organizations Division. And this clearly says that the trusts that we build are tax exempt. And then on top of that, because we like to go deep in our evidence that we're doing the right thing, look at the first clause of the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Can anybody say that? Can I have any volunteers that would like to repeat the first clause of the first Bill of Rights?
Everybody's
any
muted
volunteers?
right now. Everybody's muted right now.
Okay, well, I'll supply the answer then. Congress shall make no law. Listen to those two words. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Now, we've seen in COVID, they like to play around that and do what they want. But this has been proven numerous times by the Supreme Court of the United States. So they don't go there with these. And in fact, I try to keep them in line. Now, you can't do that all the time. Sometimes they fight you. I started fighting the IRS in 2005, and right on through this year. And they weren't cooperating for 19 years. They fought me. And I went and said, you know what? I'm going to put these people in order here. I went to the United States Tax Court. The U.S. Tax Court is not an American court. It's a private court held as an administrative court by the IRS. So I went down there and I filed a 2-page petition into the U.S. Tax Court. Well, I took that petition to the feet of the Commissioner of Revenue, not the Commissioner of the IRS. So he was my defendant. As about 45 days, maybe 30 days after I put that petition in, I got an answer from the assistant lead counsel for the commissioner in Los Angeles County. That's the closest one to where I'm in Orange County. And he answered my 2-page petition with 13 pages. And when the court took a look at that and went over it, they sent a response saying, if you don't object, this motion may be dismissed, this petition. I didn't object. I liked the petition. I liked the answer from the head counsel for the commissioner because he agreed with what I said in my petition. So I didn't object. I just said, go ahead and dismiss it. And the court did. And they wrote a written response and said, there is no jurisdiction here. This case is dismissed. That was 19 years of fighting the IRS with 2 pages of paper. If you know what you're doing, you can understand what they're calling the law and the words that they use. Because remember, this country was formed in 247 7 years ago up until July 4th. They'll turn over 248. And their definitions were different at that time. So I own a set of Black's Law dictionaries digitally that go all the way from 1 through set 9. And you are shocked when you go through that and look at what these definitions actually say. Nothing like we are taught, they say. And so that's how I was able to win, with a little help from a colleague, and we help people with those sorts of things too. So tax reduction strategies can include the U.S. tax code, and that's why we have to get to know people before we start telling them what to do. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different asset values and different ways they want to be. Some want to take a little risk. Some want to take a lot of risk. I tell them to go buy some Bitcoin. You can get wealthy on Bitcoin, but you also can lose it. So I like those things that are more guaranteed, and we'll know that you're going to have the return of your money as well as the return on your money. So there's a lot we can do, and I'm just grateful to Tad for talking about this with you. And if you want to get some more information, we can send you some things to get you started. Does anybody have any questions at this point, Tad?
Sure, why don't we do that? By the way, if you do want to get in touch with John, go to youhavetheright.com, go to the contact link, and send us a message, and I'll make sure that you get in touch with him, and you guys can talk. So, I think Rocky... Okay.
Rocky's a traveling man.
Well, if I can unmute him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually here.
Good. Hi, Rocky. How are you doing?
So talk to us about what you got, Rocky.
You know, I have a home that has probably more than half of it is its value is equity at this point.
That's great.
And I'm always also interested in, protecting bank accounts. I know that our bank accounts are in the public. Obviously, we have to use a Social Security number to open them. And
well, we can insist on that. So go ahead and tell me what your thoughts are.
Well, I guess I'm just thinking that, protection-wise, a trust done the right way is sort of the Holy Grail. So
I would agree with that.
And what's most striking about your presentation is that I'm kind of overwhelmed with your sincerity, and
thank you.
comes through real strong. So I'm definitely gonna be reaching out to you.
Well, yeah, Tad will send you some information for me to get in touch with you, and Tad stays involved in this. I don't just take over. Tad likes to be, and I like him to be in the conversation, so that he knows
Sure.
that I'm doing the right thing, and he'll keep referring me to his clients, and it's a good way to do it. And he has a data sheet that is that on the website right now. Tad?
Here's the deal, John. People, you can contact me through the website, and I will forward your information on to John, and then you guys can talk.
Oh, great. That's fine.
That's how that's going to work.
Just keep it the way we've worked it all the time. That's great.
And Ted, can you give me sort of the protocol for, a lot of us who are sort of enlightened in this realm of information, we have developed small groups of like-minded people. I don't want to overwhelm you, but yeah, I know a lot of people that are trying to do accomplish what you have been able to accomplish, probably the wrong way. They're going about it the wrong way, and so I'll send them through Tad's website as well.
Yeah, please keep your name associated with theirs, and please, we'd like to know who we're getting information from.
All right. Well, Rocky, thank you. Did you have any more questions or anything you wanted to discuss?
For me, no.
Okay.
Not at this point. I guess once I get, in touch with you guys, I'm sure there'll be some things that I haven't thought of yet, other than just my house and bank account. But I just like the way of conducting yourself from what you're describing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Rocky. Okay. Our friend in Maryland. Go ahead. Hello. Your phone was just unmuted.
Oh, okay. I had my phone muted. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I got on this call tonight is, like the other gentleman, I was just looking for a way to try to protect what I've basically taken my whole life to build, and don't want to get into a situation someday, if anything should happen, where my assets may be seized, attacked, stolen, whatever, because you never know what can happen these days. So I was just looking for an avenue to try to protect what I've basically spent my life building, mainly
that's great.
Physical assets like cars, houses, rental properties, etc. I'm not in any dire issues right now, but I've explored trusts. I've been to a couple seminars on trust, but I'm just not thinking that the conventional legal trusts are the way I want to go. I've known for a while that there is a public side and a private side, but I've never known how to access the private side until this call, which may hopefully lead me down the right path to do what I want to do. I just want my things that I've acquired to be protected, and lawfully, I don't think the correct term is legally. I think lawfully is more the correct term. These things aren't easily discovered, and most people don't know about them, but I can't say I know a whole lot about it, but I do know it exists. I'm just trying to find someone to enlighten me on how this all works and why it works, and basically that's it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you're thinking about that. And what was your first name?
Robert.
Robert? Okay, great. I think that you've done a marvelous job in acquiring assets for your family, it sounds like. And the idea of retaining those, passing them on to other people, other charities, whatever it is you want to do with it, is your business, not the government's. And that's why I like what we do, because trusts the veil of the trust can be pierced, and it's not very easy, but you always have things that can happen, and sometimes people will actually hire attorneys to be the trustee. Well, attorneys get attacked too. They get lawsuits, There are many ways you can do this, but the private side is so much more secure because of the way our founders protected our natural rights. And I think it's incumbent for us to do some research and to learn. That's why we will send information to people. It's also why I've spent, let's see, I started in 1968 in the industry, so I've had a few years to learn a few things, but, it's not totally hidden. But an attorney will never tell you about a foundation like we use on the private side, because they can't make any money at it.
They don't work on that side of the fence.
It's funny because when I was 3 years old, we moved out of a house that my dad, who was a doctor, had bought about 5 years earlier, and the neighbor happened to be an attorney. And of course, at one of the parties, I got talking. Hey, doctor, what are you doing for your family safety and security? And talking them into doing a trust, right? Well, they don't make much on that. Some of them are very, very inexpensive. I've worked with trusts, frankly, before I learned all that I have. And they only do a trust because then they know when the day happens that something needs to be done about the trust, somebody dies or whatever, that's when they make their money. Hours and hours in courtrooms and things like that. And so they don't specialize in the private side. They can't make much money. So that's why I was so delighted to have the blessing of these two mentors that I ran into. And so that I can pass this on, it's a great feeling to know you're helping people. Look at that doctor as an example. So yes, some people do put automobiles in foundations. They'll do maybe an old Ferrari that they have. It's just it was maybe $40,000 when they bought it, an old one, and years ago, and they want to keep it, but they don't want it to be accessible to anybody who might sue them if they get into a bind for something. Well, if it's not in your name and nobody else can get to it, is that your car? And you can say under pains and penalties of
perjury.
Pains and penalties of perjury.
Perjury.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the help. That it's not mine because it's in a foundation that you don't own anything, and they can't touch that. So they don't even know about it unless they say, "Oh yeah, I borrow that car once in a while, and I get the thrill of driving a Ferrari, even though I don't own it." Because you don't own it. The title actually is in the foundation. I've got 3 automobiles. They're all in separate foundations. You can literally say to the judge, in truth, that's not my house. That's not my sixplex. That's not my commercial building. And that beats anything when you've got a title somebody can attack. So,
can I ask a question about equity?
Yeah, sure. Unless you mean the
I didn't mean to interrupt, but no.
Go ahead.
Well, let's say someone goes through the normal process of acquiring the home that they live in. I'm sure most people do the standard, get a mortgage, pay on it forever, and eventually sell it to either upgrade, downgrade, whatever they're going to do. But what about all the equity, the sweat equity that you put into the property, mowing the grass, painting the house, upgrading it, doing bathrooms, keeping up the house for the last 20 years? Where are you in that aspect as far as the labor equity that you put into this property that could possibly be taken from you if you don't pay your mortgage or you get sued or something bad happens and, the title's in your name, but, something happens and you get sued and they clean you out? I mean,
That's a great question. Great question. And that's one of my primary concerns because that's the biggest asset most people have, right? A lot of people don't drive old Ferraris, much less new ones. And they want their family to be safe if something. It's like having an insurance policy. That's a very big part of asset protection. If you can't pay the mortgage, even though it's not in your name, the bank's going to take it away from you because they know that they've got paper on it, even though the paper is fraudulent. And we'll talk about that on another call sometime if you're interested.
Right.
The fact is, if it's not in your name, they can't come and take it from you for a legal issue of some sort. But also, send an email to Tad's website, and I will return to Tad an equity calculator, and you'll see how detailed it is. It does talk about overseeing landscaping, painting, adding a new room here, or as I mentioned earlier, the pool in the back, or just the equity that you've piled into there by working your life to pay this thing off. And to have that taken out from under you, I see it all the time. People have lost their house because they didn't seek help. And they just suppose that the attorney they hired was going to help them. I've got a lot of people who had attorneys that let them go before they came to my group, our group. And we've got people all across the country that help us. They're always researching. They're always finding new things. And we're trying to dig as deep as we can in every situation we need to dig in. So, there are answers to that. And I appreciate your concern because you put in, well, I'll give you an example. I had a woman that bought a house for about $280,000 some years ago. And after we did our equity calculator, with everything she piled into insurance, taxes, improvements, all the original amount of the note, the monthly payments, it came to $1.2 million. So then what we do is we secure that equity with a lien in this county in which it's located, and then we throw that into the name of another foundation. So if they want to correct you because you voted for Trump and everybody hates Trump, they can't touch you because it's not in your name. And we've got a lien against it in the record that exceeds the equity. So if they want the house, maybe you'd lose the house.
Yeah, you got to pay me first.
They're going to pay you first, and you're going to have an edge on them. And, there's a lot of problems with real estate now these days. People are forging titles. Because anybody can go on the county record and find out who owns that property at that address. That's a nice house. I think I'll steal that title from them. It's going on all the time. That's the first thing I want to do is secure that equity, because just because it's not in your name doesn't mean it still can't be stolen. So there's
another question came to mind.
Sure, Robert, go ahead.
Let's say you have a property, but you still have a mortgage on it. Now, how hard would it be to do this process if you still owe? Because they don't like to. I don't know how that would be maneuverable if you still owed money on it. How you could transfer ownership to whatever you're talking about.
That's
being
the
that
question
has a problem.
It's a fairly. A lot of people like to donate their homes if they have grown children and no financial problem to churches, and so what you can do is donate it to the church before you die, and you still have payments you're making on it, you have the right to make those payments, and you don't have to take a new loan out to get your money secured. You've donated it all in advance to an association that we could build for you. That is the lawful type that will take it out of your name. And you're just making donations every month to the charity, aren't you?
Right.
By paying that payment. So you're doing it the right way. You're not trying to scam anybody and do a quiet title when you don't have the right to do a quiet title. I've seen people get in trouble for those too. And there's an answer to help in everything we do. When we put it all together in the beginning, we can do it step by step. We don't have to do it all the first day. The whole idea is to have a relationship to keep you when you have questions. I have this one woman in South Carolina, and she'll call me every few months, and she'll say, I just had a question. She wants to know to operate this association properly. Is she making the right decision? And I appreciate that. I don't want somebody making a decision and call me and say, here's what I did. Did I do it right? That's the wrong time to talk. So, yeah, I like to work with the people. I like answering their questions, and it makes for a lot more comfortable situation.
Great.
Anything else?
Yeah, does that answer your questions?
Yeah, so far I'm excited about it. It sounds like the right avenue to take.
All right, fabulous.
Well, thanks for being on the call.
Go to youhavetheright.com, find the contact link. It's on the front page. I got like a little chat widget. You can just send a message through that. And send me a message, and I'll connect you with John. All right, well, thank you very much.
Good to talk to you, Robert.
So,
congratulations on your success.
We have somebody from Arcadia. You did not raise your hand. I don't have a question and answer right now. But I'm going to unmute your phone. If you want to say something, you can. But if you don't say anything, then I'll just mute you back. So 626 area code. If you have anything to say, 626 in Arcadia. If you have anything to say, go ahead and speak up.
No questions.
No
Hi
questions.
there.
Okay.
No questions, but I'm interested in what you guys are doing, for sure. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being on the call.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Are you in Oregon? Okay. I think I know who that is. All right. Thank you. Okay.
Am I unmuted? I don't have a way to raise my hand on this phone.
Oh, go ahead.
You covered basically everything I'm concerned about. Bitcoin, gold, and silver. And I guess, does that come when you got Bitcoin with when you bought a bunch of gold and silver that's being warehoused with one of these gold companies like Glint Pay or something like that?
We'd have to do some research on that to be sure. What was your name? I forgot.
Willie
Oh,
Johnson. And then I'm in process of purchasing one home that's more than $1 million, and I have money coming from selling interest in a mining site somewhere. And my intent was to buy my 4 grown children houses that's worth $500,000. So I'll definitely need to get with you before making those moves based on what you said tonight.
Well, thank you for that comment.
Yeah, so I'll send a message to your web page in the morning.
Sure. You have the right.com.
Right, great.
Right. Yeah, I got Johnson, it. I'm on the web page now.
Okay.
Oh, good. Mr. Johnson, would you say the first name, please?
Willie Johnson.
Willie Johnson. Okay, great. Thank you. I'll remember now that I got both names. And,
I have a
look
trust,
forward to
but I'd have
hearing
to send you that information to see if it's the proper trust, but it may not be. I need to go with the way you're talking about or the foundation. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying every trust is wrong. There are some that are actually well done. But there's always that issue of, it's kind of like, giving a daughter's hand in marriage to a young man. And, he looks like a young man, seems to be a good man. What you don't know is he goes, the fourth Friday of every month up to Vegas and gambles money away, or gets into drugs or something. So what we do is build these, Willie, so that the people who should have the control, but nobody knows who they are.
Okay. Well, I'll get my information to Tad so he can work with both of us in the morning.
All right,
That'd
Willie,
be great.
thank you very much. Good night.
Okay, then.
Thanks for being on the call.
All right, John, so I think that's going to do it. So you guys, again, if you want to get more information, go to youhavetheright.com and send us a message. And John, thank you very much for being here tonight and sharing what you have.
My pleasure.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to benefit.
Talk with you. Always happy to talk with you, Dad. Thank you.
You bet. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining, and we'll see you again next time. Good night.